Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. How are you today, sir?
Hanging in there, hanging in there. Boy, I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to be Judge Janine Pirro this morning. Did you hear President Trump was a little
She folded like an umbrella.
Yeah, like a cheap suit.
Here's the question. CNN was all over it yesterday going, oh, he's mad. See, I don't know what to believe in the news anymore. He's going to fire her. He didn't say that. He's mad.
No.
And maybe she did cave because there was a judge involved that was just giving her shinola. But
I would question. She's always been somebody who presented herself as being a staunch advocate and somebody who would stand shoulder to shoulder with the president. And this is like her first big test, I guess, and she collapsed. And Bill, I've done some research. Apparently, President Trump is right. The pictures do show them in the pond with a knife in the reflecting pool with a knife. They did do some cutting. So
in the middle, though,
yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess you're not supposed to cut anywhere you're not even supposed to be in the reflecting pool.
All right. See, the question is, we're getting too many different stories, and so is he, and so is she. The drain pool, the pictures I saw, well, there were tire tracks in there. Why were there tire tracks? You drove a dump truck inside there. That means you went over the wall. I don't know that the intel is right. I don't know that maybe because now they're saying, well, yeah, the guys did hurry up to get to the 250. I think Trump is believing and trusting in the guys. I think there's a bigger story here, and everybody needs to take a chill pill, step back, and take a good look. And they need to reserve the right to sit there and say that Olympian, okay, you're off the hook for now. But if they were in the pool and they were doing something at that end of the pool, that's still damaging the pool.
Yeah.
Even if the system was screwed up, that they made them, they did it wrong. That doesn't allow you to go in. Okay, if I go to a building, a government building, and I go, oh, looky here, the paint is peeling. Here, give me that knife. Chip, 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 chip. That's vandalism.
Oh, I know. Apparently, there was a lot of graffiti on government property when President Trump got back into office this time. It's what the left loves to do. They love to deface other people's property because they face no consequences. You go to, I love these artists, they call them, these graffiti artists. They think that it's okay to go on any building anywhere and put their artwork. It's an expression of their artistic talent, but it's somebody else's property you're doing it on. You're doing it either on a government property or a private building, but it's not
defacing it.
It's not yours.
It doesn't add value. You know what I get mad at is I was out hiking when I was up north, out in the wilderness, and then you see like these big boulders, mountain faces there, and I'm going like, boy, that's a hell of a climb up there. And somebody got up there with their spray can.
Are you serious?
And put graffiti on, like that would be somebody going out to California to Mount Everest and going, wouldn't that be beautiful if we just got up there with our spray paint cans and put a big all over the thing, and make it look like the sign of a boxcar and a train.
Well, what else they didn't. I didn't realize this, but the people who were destroying the property at the reflecting pool also went over to the lawn and took some I want to say some kind of chemical that kills the grass, and they put 8647 in big letters. So much so I guess they had to go over and cut the grass out and put new sod in. And I guess they had to go down deep enough so that the chemical that was sprayed was removed. That soaks into the ground. So they had to go down, put some new dirt in. Then they had to put new
resoil,
new turf on. That all cost somebody, dare I say, us money.
Yeah,
And
well, they don't think about that, and they pay. Well, I pay my taxes too. Well, you know what? You should pay more, which is going to get us to a Buttigieg story down the road because he's out there trying to
oh, I
say,
know.
I got new ways to tax people. I got a new tax for you too, Pete, and you ain't gonna like it. But
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just saying.
I do think that it's time that people pay penalties for their misdeeds. And I mean, but Bill, it goes back to it goes back to Obama, and people have been able to commit crimes and get away with in this country, especially people
Oh,
on the left. People on the right, not so
well,
much. I've Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. Those guys, they were in contempt of Congress. They went to jail for 4 months apiece. But Eric Holder, the Attorney General under Clinton or Obama, he is in contempt of Congress, and nothing happens to him. Exact same
right.
crime. Maybe, and by the way, that inequity, that's not fair, and it should stop. President Trump still hasn't brought some of these people to justice yet, and I would think that he's probably getting a little ticked off about that too. He's trying to wait for his Justice Department to do it properly so that nobody can question his motives. But boy, they're dragging their feet. And they're dragging their feet, by the way, with Todd Blanche, his nomination. He's an acting attorney general, and they're waiting for his confirmation. And I guess they're going to vote on it today. Not the whole thing, but vote to move it, move it along. And they're obstructionists. The people on the left, all they do in Congress is they think, well, if Trump wants it, we have to obstruct it. It's our job. It's what we do. Conversely, when you have a partially deluded president, totally confused president in office, the Republicans bend over backwards to accommodate him. When it's the other side that has the president, they get their judges, they get their appointees, but when Trump wants people to be appointed, nope. The people on the left, they just vote in lockstep. And by the way, Bill, that's a sign of communism. That is, before we talked about socialism government, before we mentioned the Democratic Socialist Party, the Democrats, dare I say, in Congress have been acting like a communist pack for years now.
Well, it's rules their way. I know that they, I got a bone to pick with ABC and the
Oh,
View.
I think
Now,
I know. I think I know what you're going to talk about.
well, there's a lot going on here. All right. Now, it's been for a long time now that they've said the View is a news source. Okay. Now, a news source means that you report news. That's it. When you get into commentary and opinion, well, now that goes to equal time. I'm sorry, equal time. So when you say, get out there, you got to vote Democrat, got to vote Democrat. Well, now that is a commercial. Yeah, that's even something different or a product endorsement. But either way, that requires equal time. And that's what the FCC is saying. Now, the ABC is trying, they've got some license challenging things going on and issues and early challenging. And what did ABC do yesterday? They said, screw the FCC. We're going to do what we want to do. And as a matter of fact, we're hiring Rosie O'Donnell back to.
Of course, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. They are thumbing their nose, and I'm sitting there saying, you know what? Then that means that your license or having a license to be on the air means absolutely nothing, diddly squat. You get away with that, then I would sit there and say, you know what? You got a transmitter fired up. Who cares? You say what the hell you want to do. If you're an Iranian terrorist, you get on the air and say what you want to do. If you're a political left or right wingist, you get on the air and do what you want to do because the FCC has no weight and authority, and ABC is proving that.
Well, I think you just hit it. I think that I think all the networks think this now, that they're bigger than the FCC. They're bigger than the government. They have more sway, more power. They have, I worked at CBS in the 70s. in the 70s. Okay, and that's when they tried to be, or they acted like they were impartial. But my studios were in the headquarters building on 52nd Street. They had, our radio station was one floor. Actually, our radio station was half of one floor of a building. News Radio 88, which is now defunct, I can't believe that, which was a giant news station at the time in New York, was the floor below us, and they took the whole floor up. But that's nothing. The lawyers had at least 3 floors, maybe more, that were just lawyers. So let's see. Broadcast, half a floor, FM, AM broadcast, a whole floor, and lawyers, 3 floors? That gives you an idea that they have a whole cadre of people who probably have said to him, look, don't worry about the FCC. They haven't got the strength anymore. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to pull your licenses? Okay, think about it for a second. How many licenses do you have? Or you have TV stations. What if you lost the stations? If they pulled them, you probably had the opportunity to sell them before you lost your license. So you could sell them, make a bundle of money. You don't need those licenses anymore. We're on cable TV everywhere.
Well, I mean, the FCC, what are they going to do? They come in and pull their license? Well, they're basically being threatened with that, and they're saying, screw you. We're going to run these properties anyway. So we're going to send the military in to take them over?
Yeah.
They figured, well, yeah, you could, but here's what they'll do. They'll rally up their protesters. And by the way, these protesters are protesters for hire. I was reading about that. A lot of these people, they don't have a cause.
It's their job.
It's their job.
Yeah.
They're political mercenaries. And they'll sit there and defend that property. So I'm just saying right now, if you're a pirate, you might want to think about going for it, because who the hell cares? Obviously, I think the government cares, but what they're showing is that total defiance runs it over. And I'm not
Bill,
not proud of saying that, but,
Bill, Rosie O'Donnell's something else. It just seems like a little while ago we were talking about how she had it. She was packing up all of her stuff. She was never coming back to the United States again, and she moved to Ireland. And so that was that. Liar, but of course, she got to Ireland, and she found out that she could be as in touch in Ireland as she was in Hollywood. So she was on the internet all the time, texting people about political stuff. And this is when she was in Ireland. She couldn't stop herself. Talk about Trump derangement syndrome. And now, I guess she's back. I guess she must have moved back. Maybe they've got some of these people have much more money than brains, and so they can afford to have houses all over the place, and they can hang on to them too. They don't have to sell them like a lot of peons out here. If I was moving to another area, to another house, I would have to sell this house to get that house, right? But these people have more money than some small countries, and they can afford to. Well, I'll keep the one in Ireland too, because I may have to stop there sometimes to change my clothes. It's something else. And now what does she do? She doesn't need the money, but what she does need is the spotlight. She does need the attention. She does need the platform. If she gets on The View, that during the next 2 years of the Trump administration, every time Trump says good morning, she's going to complain about it. And when she complains about it, they're going to carry it all over the internet. Oh, Rosie said this. Look at this. And there'll be video of her everywhere. That's because the left, they had that agenda. They have that. I wish her no ill, but I really wish she stayed in Ireland.
To be kind of Howard Sternish here, she's here to fart in your cornflakes, and I don't want Rosie. I don't want to hear.
He's always had a way with words.
I got a way with words,
yes.
But you know what? I can tell you this, except for what we've just talked about, ABC, I took them off my radar a long time ago because I think they're a big gas bag network, and they're proving it right now. And as far as I'm concerned, we should pull every license that they got.
You know what amazes me, Bill? What amazes me is that you have 3 competitor networks, major networks, CBS, ABC, and NBC.
And they're sitting back watching this.
Well, for my whole life, they were staunch competitors. And here is a situation now where it is in vogue to go after the president of the United States, and so it's like they've all gotten a secret pact. They all got this secret memo to join forces and to minimize this man. And by the way, it isn't something that you should take lightly, because when they minimize our president, it isn't seen just by a few people in this. It's seen by the world. The world sees this, So when you have ABC criticizing our president over and over again, when you have NBC criticizing our president, it's seen by England and France. They all see it. It is really, it's something no other president has had to deal with ever. Never.
Nor probably will again, unless, of course, now I will say this. If the American people speak in the way that the polls really say they are, it's going to be J.D. Vance, or it's going to be Rubio, or somebody else of that caliber that's going to be coming in after Trump. And then they're going to be bad guys. They're already teeing the ball on Rubio and on J.D. Vance, because anybody that is Republican and on the right is bad, but they've got a lot of bad seeds themselves, in their pile too. As far as I'm concerned, ABC, NBC, CBS, they are state media. And, we talked about it last week, and it was all over the news, and now it's gotten quiet because they are the news. And that is the fact that they are being funded by, this country. What the hell is its name? China?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, President Trump was, I've never seen a president more accessible to these people, too. These are the people that are trying to bring him down, and he's constantly having press conferences, impromptu and planned. Yesterday, he had one in the Oval Office, and they asked him about the Iran situation, and he told them.
Mr. President, are the talks with Iran now off, and are airstrikes?
No, they're on. They're going on right now. It's an amazing thing. We have a little problem with Iran because we have many talks, and we'll say we have or we don't have. We're straight about it. But they deny, but they're not denying it now. They just put out a statement not denying it. But for some reason, when they're talking, they don't like saying that they're talking. So I say, wait, we're in talks. Big deal. We're in talks. And they'll sometimes deny it, even though they spend hours and hours together talking. No, the talks are going along. We're going to hit them very hard yesterday, very, very hard, harder than any attack. I think I can say, General, from a point of knowledge, any attack since World War II. That's pretty big. And we were set to go, and they called. And in addition, Saudi Arabia called, and UAE called, Qatar called. I called some numerous people. I don't want to use the word begging, but some were. In particular, Iran did not want to be hit. And they said, we want to talk. We want to talk about the strait, but more importantly, from my standpoint, we want to talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because it's what it's all about. This is why I'm doing this. And it should have been done. It's now 50 years. We keep saying 47 years, but 3 years have gone by. But it's for 50 years that other presidents should have been doing or other countries. Didn't have to be us, but other countries. And nobody did it, and it was time, and we hit them hard with the B-2s more than a year ago now, and that knocked out their capability, their potential capability. And we've done a great job, but when we talk, we say we're talking. If we're not talking, when you ask me, no, we're not talking, I'll say it. But we are talking right now, we're talking, and we're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called. Many of the leaders of many, I'm friendly with a lot of them, almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document. Yeah, please.
I was thinking as he was talking, For a guy who's so accessible, Bill, and he says so much, I think there's another part of him that we don't see. There's the strategic and private part of him. See, he talks and he says a lot of things. He throws a lot of stuff out, and we think, boy, he's talking a lot. But I do think that the thing that makes him unique is that the crucial and critical things that are happening with regard to the Iran war, we're not going to find out in a press conference. He's not even going to hint towards it at a press conference.
Funny you should say that. You see, and I know if I'm right here from what I'm looking at, the news is trying to figure out where they are, because out of West Virginia or wherever it is down along the coast, there's a particular plane that we have, the F-22 Raptor,
Right.
that nobody else has. We will not sell it to anybody else. It is a dangerous machine. So when you say you got a squadron of 12 of those that just happened to take off from the East Coast and landed in the UK and then went over to Israel, they're trying to figure out what base they're at in Israel. They are there today.
Yeah.
And I was told this is the last chance to talk. And what?
Well, you know, Bill, here's the thing. If he does what he says he was just about to do, you're going to put Iran on their knees for probably a decade at least. They'll have no power. You're going to have hundreds, maybe thousands of refugees. It's going to be brutal.
Well, you got a hornet's nest right now that's parked somewhere in Israel. And what?
No, I know it's gonna be brutal. Like and share the show. Tell your friends about Jim and Bill. It's another day. You can email us at mail@jimandbill.com. You know, during that commercial break, I was thinking about President Trump and his disappointment with Jeanine Pirro, and I was thinking, you know, Bill, it's probably a little bit of a New York thing too. There's a certain persona that native New Yorkers have. It's almost a machismo. There's a tough guy kind of an attitude that a lot of native New Yorkers have, that they think that they can handle a lot of things, sometimes above and beyond the call of duty, you know? And I think Trump has it, even though he's a multi-billionaire, very successful. He has that machismo. And I think that Jeanine Pirro kind of in her own way, she projected that too. And I think Trump expected that no matter who it was that was giving her a hard time, she wasn't going to cave. And I think that he expected a New Yorker to be more rigid, more tough, you know, and she wasn't.
I think that somebody went after her in a very personal way. She has had a lot thrown at her. She had some woes. Yeah, we all have. Trump has had to stand up in the face of that machismo. Hey, you're a blanket idiot there. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah, I know what the hell I'm doing. You know what? Back at you, buddy, and then some. But she, if she folded like an umbrella, or she appeared to fold like an umbrella, it's because somebody came and disrespected her and probably sat there and took it very low and personal. And she needs time to regroup. And maybe Trump's saying, hey, she folded like an umbrella. It could be all. It could be all.
He said it. Yeah, he said it. I was watching him. He said she choked. She choked. Oh, geez. You know, I wonder how she's reacting right now watching this press conference, hearing the president of the United States, you know, describe. He has always been very complimentary.
You know what? That's gonna make her have to sit there and say she's going to have to make a choice. You know, she either caves to it,
yeah,
and that's it, or she, you know, for lack of a better way, she hitches up those New York panties she's got on and goes out. Oh yeah, because I've known some Italian girls. You can knock them down, but when they get back up, you know, you better clear the room because they're going to kick you right where you don't want to be kicked.
Hey, speaking of getting kicked, I was watching a press conference yesterday with that laughable, lovable guy, Zoran Mandani,
Oh, he's a
the
great guy.
musical mayor of New York. I don't know.
Yeah, have you noticed something about him? Just off the cuff thing here.
What?
When he was running, all right, I think he had a lot of makeup on to make him look nice and innocent and everything and happy and everything. And now all of a sudden, the mask is off. There are deep sunken eyes, and he looks like he's a very evil, vile guy.
Yeah, he looks like a sinister character from
Yeah,
a
and
Batman movie or something,
Yeah, and he's not tired. It's just that now you're seeing the real him. They were trying to make him look good.
Well, yeah,
This was-
I got to tell you what he did.
What
This
did he
was this was I thought this is hysterical because this is typical Democrats, do as I say, not as I do. They talked about these new supermarkets they're building. They're going to build 5 city-owned supermarkets. They're going to have
Which is the
30%
dumbest thing, yeah.
30% discounts on everything in the store. It is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And by the way, they expect them, and he said it in a press conference, they expect them to be run or operated by, dare I say, some of the competition. He's expecting some of the people in the private sector in the grocery business will come forward and help them run these things. I'm thinking, yeah, right. That's going to happen. Yeah, let's build the competitor up so they can put us out of business. But that's neither here nor there. The part that got me was yesterday when they were making an announcement about these grocery stores. They reminded everybody that everybody who shops in the store is going to have an ID because they want to make sure that they're not selling to interlopers from New Jersey or Connecticut who will race into New York to get the cheap groceries. Here they are telling us that, you can vote. Anybody can vote in New York. You don't need any kind of identification. Not a big deal. No. Just come on into New York, take up residency, and then just go down and vote. No one's going to stop you. But if you buy groceries, if you go to the grocery store that's owned by the city, well, make damn sure you're carrying that ID or you're not going to get them.
Let me ask you a question. You're going in to buy your groceries. Hey, I got to go get some groceries here, because we got to eat.
Hey, you sound like a New Yorker.
I tell you what, Mandani Superstore, they got 20 different items on the shelf.
Yeah, right, 20.
Yeah. 20 different items. And, don't worry about that tick thing, where you don't eat meat because they got meat on the counter. Wait, if I can't eat meat, what the hell am I putting on the counter? Yeah, there's so many contradictions in this damn thing. Hey,
well, I thought it was funny about your example there. First of all, if it is operated like most socialist grocery stores, you said 20 items on the shelf. No, there'll be
That's
one.
What he said.
No, there'll be one item on the shelf. It'll be one. It'll be old and it'll be moldy. Check the expiration date.
Your variety is 20 different foods. That's it. You got variety here because he talks about variety. You got 20. You got 10 fingers, so that's 2 things a finger. What? I don't know. When I go into, if I go into Shop and Save, if I go into Wise or Garrity's, or I go into whatever grocery store I am in, whatever state I am, Hannity or whatever it is, I'm sitting there going, I got a supermarket.
I love going into a grocery store, and the first thing they say as you walk in the door is, "Your papers, please." Let me see. Are you on this man?
Wait a minute. Why do I need my papers?
Because you're shopping.
No ID required to vote.
No, that's not our problem. But you want to buy lettuce? Let me see your papers. That's how they. That's how they're going to work in New York. And by the way, the Democrats they act this way. They do this kind of stuff. Speaking of Democrats, you were talking about that wild guy who actually thinks he has a shot at being president. I think he was maybe the worst mayor of any small city in the country. The guy who, when it came to potholes, didn't know how to fill them. Pete Buttigieg. The guy who waited a year to go to East Palestine, Ohio, to look at the damage done by that freight train that derailed, and remember all of the chemicals. By the way, all these major stories, they're vaporized like that chemical. You know, you never hear about what happened in East Palestine. Have you seen follow-up stories on any of those three major networks going back to East Palestine to see how they're doing? No. Nah, that's all gone. Maui, we talked about this yesterday. That massive fire, I think it killed 2,000 people. That was last year's news. Forget it. And here we are. Every major news story that comes out right now, you should be skeptical about, because they're probably not going to follow up on it, especially if it's something which is negative against the Democrats. But Pete Buttigieg, you were talking about taxes and Pete Buttigieg. Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, what he's doing is he's got some new taxes that he wants to introduce because he says he's come up with new ways to tax people. Now, wait a minute. Isn't that what socialists do? Because everybody else is going to pay for this. When they run out of everybody else,
Yeah,
they're going to come back, and they're already going to tax you at 50 or 60%. They're going to keep taxing you. So he's got these out-of-the-box taxes. Well, Pete, if you're going to come up with new taxes, you got some out-of-the-box taxes, I got a tax for you, Pete. And I think this is a fair one because, you know, let's do the out-of-the-closet tax.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Well, wait a minute. I mean, look. It is a fair tax.
I think he and his husband, he took time off. He took time off to breastfeed his.
And they posted the picture of it.
Yeah, I know, folks. You're probably saying, "Wait a second, how does a guy breastfeed?" Well, I'll tell you very carefully for one thing, but I guess they have a prosthesis that you can wear that mimics the breast, and I guess this is.
Well, you know,
only in this world we live in today do we jump through so many friggin' hoops to try to simulate stuff like this, you know?
Well, you know, they try to tell us that, you know, that they're non-binary, you know, that it's natural. Follow the science. Follow the science.
Yeah, right.
That's why you have bisexual men and bisexual women. You have women that want to be men and men that want to be women. And because, you know, maybe God made a mistake on you at birth, but either way, you know, it's in the science.
Do you remember when you were a kid, they told you God doesn't make mistakes? I believe that. God doesn't make mistakes. So what arrogance we have to go through this world, some of these people, and think, well, it was a mistake.
Well, Jim, yeah, the one thing that I ran into, I've run into before. Do you believe everything in the Bible?
Do I? Yes.
Okay, and then you're a MAGA right-wing lunatic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And you know what? Wear it like a badge.
I'm going to put it on a hat.
Honor. But you know, I will say to a guy that has,
I'm a MAGA right-wing lunatic on a red hat. That'll go over well.
Yeah, it will. But if you're a guy that's become a woman and you want to be respected as a woman because, you know, it's biology, you still have a prostate. And ladies that get an ornament hung that want to be a man, you don't have one. So, you know, and you can look it up. You don't have one because genetically it doesn't happen. And that is
you talk about science, Bill. You talk about science, all right? I was told that
as simple as I can make it.
You go down to the smallest part of our being, right? Our DNA, right? Right down to the smallest.
What's that?
The littlest part of who we are. And there's XX and there's XY. And the guys are XY and the women are XX. I think that's how it goes. I slept a lot.
I've always liked a woman with double X. Yeah.
Yes, I slept a lot in my science class. But the thing is, no matter how much rearrangement you make on your external being, the fact of the matter is, if you got down to that small DNA again, nothing changes. You're still going to be either XX or XY. I mean, you can fight it all you want, but you really never can change it, no matter how hard you try. You can take hormones to change the sound of your voice. You can get certain chemicals that'll increase your breast size if you're a guy. You can do a lot of things. You can have a snip and clip, or a duck and tuck, whatever or as Rush used to say, you can have an addictomy. But whatever the case may be.
A cut and tuck is what you were referring to.
What did I say? I said nip and
I said nip and clip. Like you said a duck and cut.
I think I said duck and cut. Yes, because I would duck, and if they were going to cut, I would duck.
No, you're not.
Yeah, not with that thing. Stay away.
Well, I always love the argument, and I love the argument back. They try to sit.
I
there
think tuck and cluck. Tuck and cluck.
Yeah, well, they tuck it. I'm going to cluck. So, but
yes, I would too.
They like to argue that there is
cut, right?
Yeah.
Tuck and cut. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Cut and tuck. Yeah. I said take a little off the top, not the bottom. But anyway, and I digress, trying to get to my point.
Yes,
and it's a point that doesn't match this, but either way, they try to sit there and they talk about creation, and there is no God. We came from the primordial slime. And, or the Big Bang Theory. And I'm like going, okay, in this vast nothingness, yes, there were two atoms, they collided. Okay, where did the atoms come from?
Yes.
If there's nothing, you can't make anything from nothing. I'm
the
sorry.
The atoms were something.
Yeah, they were something.
Yes.
So, and then when you do that, that's when they go, you're just a right-wing MAGA.
Yes.
You MAGA idiot.
You numbskull.
And I'm like, well, you have no argument for the fact that
you deserve
there has to be a creator.
A duck and cluck.
Yeah, well, if you're a Democrat, you can get a duck and cluck.
I'm sure you can.
You can get well, and you know what? When a Democrat walks in the room, duck, they're going to cluck.
That's true. Oh, geez. We better get back on the trail here before we get lost. Yeah. We talked about forest fires. I thought this was interesting. When we had the Pacific Palisades fires a year and a half ago, it was everywhere. We had news stories everywhere. Oh, it was big coverage. In Washington right now, they're having massive fires, and
yes,
and again, they've made arson arrests for these fires. And I was reading this morning that an entire neighborhood burned to cinders, gone, completely gone. If that neighborhood, Bill, was in Hollywood, it would be all over the place.
You just made me think of something, because it was all over the place. But there were fires in California, and there were people setting these fires, and there have been fires up in Canada. And now they haven't talked about people setting those fires, but they've been setting fires. Were they all forest fires? Did any of it burn into neighborhoods and towns? I don't know there, but here they have. And is this going to happen elsewhere? And are they, because in California, I don't think they've still yet to this day, and they quit talking about it, issued any rebuilding permits. The land is sitting there unoccupied to where, well, then you're not going to pay taxes on that property. You can't if you can't rebuild on it. And then all of a sudden it goes up to public domain, where they just eminent domain or, tax sale, which they won't sell it. And my point is to all of this, are they clearing land for new homes or housing camps for, dare I say, what they think is they're going to be their new repopulation?
Folks, all I can tell you is that if you think it's, it's red tape.
Crazy.
It's government red tape, and no. These fires in California, they happened a year and a half ago, and literally, if they were serious about getting those people back on their feet, they would have had an emergency process to get zoning approved. We're talking about the people who already live there and own the property. It's not like they have to be vetted. It's not like they have to say, oh, well, we don't know who these people are who are moving in. They could go in there if they wanted to, give them their permits. they would have already had most of the community rebuilt by now. They would have had lawns growing. They would have had trees replanted. It would have been kind of nice. But these inefficient and, dare I say, leftist politicians, because they all are out there, they all are. I don't know. Steve Hilton is trying to be the governor of California. He's a great young guy. He's clear-minded. He's a Republican. And the chances of him being the governor, in my estimation, are as much as, getting mammary glands on a bull. I don't think it's going to happen because they got the system. I don't think it's because he's not qualified. He's qualified. I don't think it's because the people don't want him. I think a lot of the people want him. But I think the corruption in the system is so deep. And so look what happened in Los Angeles. I don't think to this day they have it all counted yet for the mayoral primaries. I don't think they've actually closed the books in that primary. And that was 6 weeks ago. Maybe more now. They have a system in place, and that's why I don't have a lot of hope for the midterms. I think that if the midterms were honest, we would win. But they're not honest, and we haven't fixed anything yet.
Yeah. Look, California, I don't know what's going on out there, but I guess they do have permits that have been issued for rebuilding. But one of the things I do know about California, I'm trying to think of the guy's name who was on PBS, the building of Villa or something like.
Oh, Bob Villa.
Yeah,
Bob Villa.
He did a housing show.
He
one
did
time.
This old house. This old house.
Yeah. Well, they were doing restores one time out in California, and I'm like going, "Oh, just buy some land and build out there." No, you can't do that because they have protected the lands to where you cannot put up new structures. You can only modify and add to, which means that when everything burned down, you could rebuild what was there, but you in its place, but you couldn't go out and put up new structures.
Amazing. It's your property. You lost it in a disaster. They should just say that's your business. It's it's as long as you stay within the code, you can rebuild. But no,
right.
They have to stick their frigging governmental fingers into your pie.
There's more going on to this than meets the eye. And see, a lot of people have moved out, just gave up. So, yeah, I'm sure they're issuing permits now, but to whom, to what, to rebuild there?
Like and share the show. Tell your friends about Jim and Bill. It's another day. Jim and Bill, it's another day. If you want to send us an email, no problem. It's just mail at jimandbill.com, mail at jimandbill.com. See where Amazon hit $3 trillion. It's an amazing mark. Amazon crossed a major market milestone, joining the $3 trillion value club driven by heavy cloud and AI growth. AI growth.
Oh.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned that, Jim, because there's a topic here that we could lead into. So why don't we? I think we should.
Yeah, we can. Actually, I'm going to, while we're sitting here,
I'm going
to go
my,
through
my cohort in crime.
Yesterday's notes.
My cohort in crime yesterday said on our show, there's another topic I want to talk about, and I'll tell you after the show. That was a real effective tease, dare I say, because even my wife said to me, "What was Bill talking about? What's he going to talk about? What's this thing that you guys were going to talk about after the show?" Got her interest, huh? Well, I'm going to tell you all right now. It's a good topic, and I never really thought about it. Tell you what, I'm not going to steal your thunder. You came up with this little topic, so I'll let you tell the masses.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the notes, but I'll give you the gist.
I have them right here.
Oh, well, if you got them, then
would you like me to read them?
Well, let me set it up for you. See, my curiosity was AI. Is there a chance that we are going to get into a situation that it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of air, it takes a lot of water, it takes a lot of buildings, it takes a lot of power, resources that that we can't easily replace. Now, is there a big gamble in it? Yes. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars of gambling, okay? And big buildings that we're going to build for this thing. All right, what's the lifespan of this? Oh, the buildings will be there for 25, 35 years. Okay, so this AI technology that we're building, all that develops fast. Okay, so we're going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars in this technology. What is the lifespan of that technology? 3 years.
Say what?
3 years.
Wait a second.
So
Wait,
we're in vet, and
wait.
you
I
can't
have
have.
my car, Bill. My car has lasted longer than 3 years.
Well, you've got Google, you got I can't think of all the names right now.
Facebook,
Yeah, you
Google,
got Facebook, Meta, and
Microsoft.
all of
Yeah.
these. They all have their own AIs, and they're all different. Now, I told you about building your personal own AI, which you can do, and run it off a computer that doesn't have to have a lot of resources, and it can do basic things like if you want to write code or do basic research and do what you kind of do now with Grok or Chat GPT. It can't do very sophisticated stuff, and it takes 70 to 80 billion lines of code that's out there. That's what they call open source that you can get. And but then again, when you make that computer, it's only good up to the day that you made it unless you connect it to the internet, and it can go out there and source everything. But it's not going to be big enough ever, 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 ever to sit there and do these supercomputers that will be the size of mega warehouses for all of the stacks of computers and the technology and the chips. Now, the computer will sit there and they'll find new ways, and it will find new ways of sourcing down the processor and making it smaller and smaller and smaller. So the quicker we build these things, the quicker we can get to that point. But the long-term payoff, we're going to suck up a big debt immediately, and it's going to be not in your lifetime or maybe even our children's lifetime that recoup this. And then I'm sitting there going, do we have the money or this? And, Elon Musk is already talking about, well, we're, what is the next thing? Quadrillion,
Elon Musk said we're not going to need money. Money's going to have no value.
There's always going to be a cost to everything.
Yeah.
If you live under that,
he says that because AI is going to be so efficient that it's going to generate revenue for every man, woman, and child in the country, and that literally money will not be an object anymore for all of us. It will have no value. That's what he said that.
Well, let me ask you this. Bezos is coming out. Oh, yes, everybody, we won't need money in the future. And, what's his name? Gates is saying that too. Well, really, guys, you guys got enough money between you two. Why don't you just let everything be free for us now?
Well,
let's start today.
I think I can hear a large, say what? No, yeah.
No. Let's start today. I mean, you got big mega yachts. Instead of you buying these big mega yachts that, I mean, you need a roadmap and a GPS system to get out of the bathroom to your living quarters on those ships. You don't need that. But, we do have starving people. We do have poor people that can be brought up to a nice status of life. And since
you would think, Bill, that with their money, that at the very least, that they would build homeless, not shelters, but encampments that are housed. They have running water and plumbing, and they have food at the very least. Now, I know a lot of these people who are out there in the woods and stuff like that on the streets, I know a lot of them have drug and mental problems, but there should be a place for them, too, to recover. We've kind of, as a society, especially in the blue cities, I think it's ironic because they're supposed to be so compassionate, but they've kind of abandoned these people. They've kind of said, he's living on the street, to hell with him. And then you find it in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. All the major, dare I say, blue cities have turned their back on the homeless. And, and yet they will turn to the camera and talk about being compassionate and caring. Look at San Francisco. San Francisco, they had to literally, when the Chinese were coming into San Francisco a couple of years ago, they had to literally pack up all the homeless, put them in buses, get them off the street at least for 3 days, and they had to clean the streets up so that when the delegation from China showed up, the city looked spectacular. And then as soon as the delegation left, they bussed them all back to their hovels and said, "It's all yours again, folks. Have a good day." And that's where San Francisco is, a blue city. But anyway, we're talking about AI, and I
got that article, but go ahead.
I asked a question, and I gave the same question to you to ask. Right. Essentially, I said to the AI, are we as a society creating a monster with all that we're investing in AI? Are we going to have a situation where it comes back and bites us in the you-know-where? Here is the answer I got from, I think this was the Copilot answer. Copilot is, if I remember correctly, is that Microsoft's AI? Jim, here's the straight answer up front. Yes, we can support continued AI growth, but only if we make deliberate choices about energy, water, and infrastructure. The risks are real, but the doomsday scenario people imagine isn't the most likely one. The danger isn't killer robots like a lot of people think. It's resource strain, economic imbalance, and systems we don't fully understand being deployed too fast. Then we go deeper, and it says the core issue, AI growth, is tied to physical infrastructure. AI isn't just math in the cloud, it's data centers. And those data centers are industrial facilities. They require electricity. Large-scale models can consume tens of megawatts per site. Water, the cooling. Some hyperscale centers use millions of gallons a day. Land, often near cheap power and fiber lines, and specialized chips, which require rare minerals and complex supply chains.
Right.
And I have another 3.5 pages of the answer. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. Again, I'm looking at the lifespan of the buildings, and you're going, well, okay, a building in Pittsburgh. Well, okay, a building in Pittsburgh, a building in Harrisburg. Then you got Scranton and Philadelphia and Harrisburg and little ones in between. And that's just in Pennsylvania alone. Massachusetts, I mean, you got Boston, you got Worcester, you got Springfield, you got them all over the place, strewn all over the place, Maine and everywhere, California up and down, the West Coast, the Silicon Valley. These things take up resources that we don't have. The buildings, maybe 15 to 30 years tops. Again, the cooling systems, a 10-year is 10 years is what they'll last. The drain on the resources, water. Well, if we use the water in somewheres down like in Phoenix and Arizona, where they've had droughts anyway, you got a drought system, but the system's going to suck up the water. So what are you going to drink? Well, you're on your own there. So now they're going to use air. You're sucking up air. And these things take a lot of resources. And then we're talking about the power grid. And don't fall for the lie that you see on TV right now. Oh, they're building these new power grids. They're building power grids internally for the systems that take off of our power grid. And by the way, I was just reading yesterday, the power companies, if you've noticed your rates are jacking up and that, you get these little things, oh, you get dirty electricity. That's a whole different thing. But the simple fact is to meet this demand, they are going to sit there and start jacking up your rate. Don't be surprised if your $320 power bill, if that's what it is going to be $640 or $750 next year. Are you ready for it? That's not, this has been coming for a long time.
Here's what my AI tells us, Bill, that AI demand is projected to add hundreds of terawatt hours. Terawatt hours. I can't even imagine that big of electricity consumption globally by 2030. That's equivalent to adding a mid-size country's usage. A mid-size country's usage to our power grid. That's adding another country on top of our country as far as consumption. Now, in Pittsburgh, they were talking, like you just said, they were talking about building their own self-supporting power systems. How long will they last? How long will they be enough? You know, we anticipate that they will be effective, but for how long? Are those, Bill? The mind-boggling fact that you have told us today is that after all that we invest into these AI systems,
the return is not that big.
It's 3 years that the systems, they're obsolete in 3 years.
Well, the top end is 6 years, 3 to 6 years, but they're saying by most estimates it's 1 to 3 years. All right, so let's give it 2 years. We get a solid 2 years. Okay, and think of it this way. You know, let's go back to the early days of computers. Do you remember when you had just your regular old XT? You went down to Sears. I got a computer, honey. Oh, right. And you got the you got the basic. You had to go get the little floppy of Internet Explorer was available, at the checkout line at the grocery store. Well, that was good for about 6 months. Then something else came out, and then something else came out, and your $3,000 expense was a paperweight. In a year, it was garbage.
Yeah,
and and then all of a sudden, you got into the new processors, and the ones, the twos, the threes. You got Windows 11 now, and they're they changed the hardware to match the software, and they reroute everything, so your computer is a bulk.
Well, you were talking about having self-sustaining AI. I have a pretty fast computer. One of my computers is pretty fast. And I thought it was pretty top
end.
The other
one has a cane.
Well, that's true. I thought it was pretty top end. So I downloaded a program which really intrigued me. It was an FX program for from one of my programs, one of my video editing programs.
Right.
And it was essentially you were downloading into your computer an AI system that you would work with that was completely dedicated to rendering visual effects for your video suite, right? Mm-hmm. So I downloaded it, but I spent the $70. I quickly downloaded it into my system, and after the show and after everything was all set up, I turned it on, and literally within the first 30 seconds, it scans my computer and says, won't work. It literally told me that this entire program that I just spent $70 for was
useless on your computer.
It was dead weight. It did not work with my computer. Period. Fortunately, I was able to get a refund. And by the way, I was surprised at how sophisticated that is nowadays. It used to be that it was tough getting software refunded, but nowadays they literally just say you have to sign a promise that you'll take it off your computer and you'll never use it, and that's it, And you do that, and they send you a refund, which is great. But I guess they figured, what do they got to lose,
The software is going to change in 3 months.
That's it, exactly.
And so they're just making you think that they're keeping you honest. They have to.
Yes.
When they're does the thief doesn't care about you, and they don't care what you do, because
that's right.
You've entered their church, the Lady of Perpetual Payments, and you just.
And what's
said,
interesting,
no,
Bill, is you could buy it, and you still could distribute it to your friends and stuff like that, and they'd never know, Although I'll tell you one thing, folks. Nowadays, it is so sophisticated out there. I wouldn't get into that, because they probably have ways of leaving a marker on your computer so they know where the software is being used at all times, and you don't even know it.
Oh, yeah, it's tagged you and everything, and if
Yes.
you do something and you violated some contractual thing, they're going to sue the bajoons off of you.
You talked about chips below. I wanted to read this to you. AI growth depends on GPUs and specialized silicon These
Yeah.
require rare earth minerals, advanced fabrication plants, you never think about that, and geopolitically sensitive supply chains. But when I read that, and that was again from the AI that part of the answer yesterday, I was thinking we never think about all these secondary factories that have to be built to support all these AI systems. You know,
Well, let me ask you a question. And this goes far beyond it. And I will say this. If you think, well, you know what, we need to put the brakes on this right now, it's too late because the genie's out of the bottle. And if
yes,
we don't keep up with China, Russia, even in Europe, maybe even in Canada and the rest of the world, uh, we're going to be, pardon the pun, sucking hind tit if we even get a hind tit. So we're in this game,
oh, I know.
but
The
the
horse has
resource,
left the barn, folks.
yeah,
Uh,
and the infrastructure, we're going to pay for this, and we're going to pay for it dearly. We're probably not going to get to reap the benefits of it. I'm just saying.
Bill,
Um,
it, it,
that's
it,
sad.
you and I talking about this, and it is an issue. It's a real, honest to God, legitimate issue that we should have probably thought about, I don't know, 5 years ago. But what I strike as being ironic is that you and I did our research on AI. I
Well,
would,
AI is honest. It will tell you. Now, this is interesting. When you ask AI about it, it goes, "Yeah, this is a risk. There's no guarantee." And I think somewhere I have the odds. It's not even a 50-50 bet. I mean, if you were to go to Vegas with the odds on this, they go, I'm not taking that mark. I'm sorry. They're not. But we've taken the mark and we're doing it. But AI itself goes, well, yeah, we might need to throttle it back a little bit, but it's coming and it's going. And I'm sitting there going, it's honest about it, but I don't know. This
Bill,
is
think of the world we're
it's
living in. Have you thought about how intrusive it is right now? I mean, you probably can't mow your lawn now without being videotaped by somebody's camera somewhere. You have,
well, there's probably a sat. I remember 20 years ago, they go, we got a satellite right now. They can look down and you're reading the paper and it can sit there and read the headlines right over your shoulder. And that's true. And we've got tens of thousands of satellites up there. If you think that's wrong, no, that's right. Um,
they can look through
that's a lot.
walls. They can see through walls, your heat signature.
Yeah,
So,
the LiDAR or something like
yeah.
that they
So
use now. They read down the ground.
you think you're hiding behind a wall if you were a bad guy? If the guys on the other side of that wall have the right equipment, they can look right through the wall and see you and probably take you out through the wall.
We're worried about chips, and there are places, and Bill Gates wants to put a chip in you, it can monitor and do this. I mean, we're talking about something the size of a grain of sand that can do everything and monitor you and tag you and everything like that. But each body probably has, and I'm probably saying something that's already out there and don't know it, but it probably has its own unique signature. And when they figure out how to read that, they'll be able to read who you are, where you are, identify you, tag you, so to speak, and they'll be able to flip you on and off like a switch.
Well,
It's coming.
Folks, there'd be a lot of pushback by a lot of people about getting a chip put in, but those same people probably would run down and get a vaccine for some pandemic.
Well,
and so
that's just warm-up.
you may have got no. They may have put the chip in the vaccine. You may have already gotten the
okay.
chip.
I did some research on that. I don't have that in front of me because that was days ago. But when you look at if you just do a simple Google search, what is in the vaccine? And it talks about it. And then it says, the main part in there is not biological, it's mechanical. So there was something structured together. They don't want to say it's a chip or anything like that, but some of it is not organic. It is mechanical. And
so would we know?
thing,
Would we know if they could put it in your food, Bill?
okay, there was another young athlete that dropped dead yesterday.
34. Yeah.
34, prime of their life, and it adds to the statistics. that are out there, these young people that are dropping like flies, they got the vaccine. That's the one thing they got in common. I'm just saying,
I know.
and now they're talking about, well, we got other pandemics and everything out there, and the different things are coming back. The measles are coming back strong. I thought we had this eradicated. Now, the left wants to go, well, the CDC and Trump and all this. No, illegals. Illegals coming here is what's brought it in here. Unvetted people that have come through. I know that when I went to, on did a promotional thing with the Rolling Stones, went to Europe. I had to go through a bank of shots that were required, not just by traveling to a foreign country, but by our country, that I had to go in and get a boatload of shots. I was going to say something else. And I mean, my arm swelled up. It hurt like hell. But, went on that trip and I was fine. All these things that we've been vaccinated against, you had to get some of it done again. And, and that's
but
so
in
that
those
when
days
I left,
we were so
I was
trusting.
resilient. Come back.
In those days, though, we just trusted it. Vaccines. Oh, I had to get a vaccine. Okay, I'll go get it.
I was 95.
Yeah.
But, these were the normal things that I've had all that. Well, you got to get it again because you're going over there and you're coming back.
You realize that was 31 years ago? 95?
Well,
Holy.
yeah, well, I was 10 years old.
I know you were. It's amazing. You were very young.
I was a kid on the.
One other thing I wanted to mention before we wrap this one up, we have.
Thanks for pointing that out, by the way.
Yeah, 31 years. I know, it makes you feel really ancient. President Trump right now says we're in negotiations again with Iran, but we have the biggest invasion force ever since World War II, and we're ready to go after him. His tentativeness as far as going ahead with this is having an effect. I'll tell you why. I just read this morning, Copenhagen, Denmark. The Scandinavian kingdom has a secondary. They're beefing up their military forces. They're looking to protect their interest in on the eastern front, Russia, which I guess they're concerned with because they think, well, is Russia going to move into our area too? But they're also concerned with Greenland and us. Can you imagine? They must think somebody in Denmark must have said, the Americans are all huff and no puff. They're a lot of talk and no action. I think we can be, if we just look effective, we might be able to sway them and make them back off on their moves on Greenland. That being said, Trump issued a meme yesterday. He showed the island of Greenland, and it looked like it was a tabletop, and he's peeking over the mountain range, and he says, "Hello, Greenland," or something like that. He does stuff like that just to irritate.
Well, he's effing with you. He's effing with them.
Yeah, exactly. But to think that Denmark would be, folks, it's like going to war with Rhode Island, And but someone in Denmark has said, we could be effective if we do this. I think that if these talks fall apart, and I fully expect that they will with Iran, because they are not to be trusted. They never do something that is something they don't want to do, and they don't want to give up any ground. That to the infidel, like hell, they'd rather die. And I think right now this is a stalling tactic so they can get their ducks in a row and hide all their toys and make sure they're reinforced with other ammunition. I think it's a mistake that way. I think we're giving him a chance to breathe. It's like letting the guy you have pinned to the mat get up, dry off for a second, catch his breath. But Trump thinks it's the right thing to do, and he's the president. But I think if he
we got the F-22 Raptors sitting there right now, and they're in Israel.
Yeah,
and they travel right around Mach 1.5, maybe 1.8 without afterburners. With afterburners, they go Mach 2.5, which if you want to go, well, what's that in miles per hour? 1,500 miles per hour is how fast they go.
You know that stomach that you have? It's 2 miles back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gone. I mean, those things are fast. They can pivot. They can do everything, and the payload that they carry on it, uh, they don't even
Most
talk about.
airplanes, Bill, when a plane goes into a steep, when it pulls its nose up to climb, they risk, and many of them do stall because they haven't got enough thrust compared to their forward motion. It slows the plane down, and they lose their lift. But the Raptor is such a powerful airplane that it literally can pull its nose up at 90 degrees and accelerate straight up like a rocket,
Well,
which is amazing.
its dry thrust is 26,000 pounds. With the afterburner, it's 35,000 pounds of lift.
It's a rocket.
And combining the afterburner with everything else, its top output is 70,000 pounds.
Wow, it's a rocket, folks. That's why it can do what it can do. You say, what does that mean? It means that the plane can literally stop on a dime and climb. You know, try doing that on a regular airplane. Pull your nose 90 degrees. You will stall and crash. Period. You'll stall because you'll lose your lift on the plane, and it'll be like sliding off a tabletop, the plane. But they're so powerful, when you pull the nose up and hit those afterburners, it's like you're being shot from a gun, you know.
I think to get 60,000 feet, you're talking a minute or less.
Wow.
To get up there. So, I mean, she's fast. So if she's sitting if there's 12 or more sitting in Israel, and Trump goes, go get them. I mean, as soon as he finishes the word, go get them, they're there and striking.
And what you don't know is what kind of resources they have on them. You talked about the F-22. The F-23 is another plane that we have out, and I do think we sell those to other countries, but we don't sell them with our package. You know, we have.
I hope we don't sell them.
We have proprietary stuff on our version of that airplane that no other nation is going to get. You know.
We have to have an advantage somewhere, and we have to keep that. I think it's good to have those there, but I'm kind of China's got to be looking at that too, because right now, the longer those planes sit there and not be used, the better chance that China could say, "Hey, we want to try this out against them," and Russia goes, "Hey, we want to do that too." So if they're there, and the news media is hellbound and intent on trying to identify
the location,
the location, and I'm like going,
traitors.
That is so traitorous and communistic. Yeah. You don't talk about it. And the fact that I know about it is I got it from mainstream news. They said, "Oh, breaking right now. This is just out." I'm like going, that shouldn't be breaking news. Nobody should know about that.
That would be like a reporter finding out when the D-Day invasion was going to take place and figuring it was his responsibility to tell the world before it happened.
All right. But see, here's the difference. The difference is now you're a Republican. I'm a Republican. And there's a Democrat, because we have Democrats and Republicans. Democrats have been trained. It is your job. It is your duty to tell anything that this administration is going to do, even at the expense of our national security. And you think about that when you do that, because I duly note that. I'm sitting there going, if you support that, I don't care that you were honored and served in the military. In my mind, in my eyes, you are a traitor. You don't have to like Trump. You don't have to like what we're involved in. But if you will deliberately sabotage our country, then you didn't earn that. You're no longer earning that honor. You support this nation. The day you can't support this nation, then you probably need to leave this nation. And if I couldn't support this country, then I would have to sit there and say,
that's one thing you'll never see. The people on the far left who bitch about our country, you'll never see them packing up their stuff and leaving. They'll tell you all the things that are wrong with our country, but they won't leave. Anyway, hey, listen, Bill, I think it's time to pull the plug on this one because we could talk probably for a couple of more hours. And
yeah, well, we gotta conserve a little energy for them building their data centers.
that's
They
true.
need the power.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so-
I gotta get off the show and get online, talk to my AI. But I hope you have a wonderful day, my friend.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news to talk about tomorrow because it is the last chance for Iran to do something. Well, this is the last chance, and I do think with since we know they got some firepower sitting on their doorstep, maybe this time is going to be it.
Do you
And
think,
I'm-
Bill, that maybe will they just blow it again and attack us? You know, they're supposed to be talking with us, but will they all of a sudden, will we hear that they attacked one of our bases in Qatar or something like that?
They won't do it until the planes are on their way back, you know? And I'm sure that, you know, those planes have a distance they can travel. They have a jump point. So there's a point of no return. In other words, if those planes sat there and said, okay, we're going back, and they got past that point of no return, and then those bastards hit again, you know, the planes just can't turn around. They've got to find a place to land, refuel, and then come back.
Do you think
But
they'd
then
pack them all in one base?
I wouldn't. I would scatter them, but then again, you know, I don't know. You know, they've got to sit there right now. The big thing is we got a strike force out at sea. We got a couple of flat tops out there, I believe. So if I were going to do anything, if you know, well, you know, I don't want to talk about it because
No, you don't want to give
I'm
them
not
any
a military
ideas.
strategist, and I might give away an idea.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. You never know who's listening. That's true. And we got lots of people listening. So look at, why don't we call it a day for today? And
It's a day. It's another day.
oh, I like that. That is
Yeah.
very clever. That is very, very good.
So, you know, until the next day comes,
Yes.
which then it will be another day,
That's true.
I'm just going to say it's been fun, but, you know,
We gotta
baby,
run.
we got to run. So hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we and why are we here? Will we be welcome or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one, or split and divide to be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swill. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our belief? Are they red, white, and blue?
All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved.
This is CRN America.